Hello, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Welcome again to Pocket Mentor. We are so happy that you guys have tuned in right now. Sa aming mga suking viewers, thank you for watching again. And to our new viewers, I hope you will get something from what we are showing you today. Just to give you a little bit of background for our new viewers, my name is Robbie Zialcita. I am a coach here at Pocket Mentor. And Pocket Mentor is really a platform for purposeful learning. So you can expect to hear experts from various fields sharing their experiences and knowledge. And today actually is part two. So if you missed part one, no worries. You can just stay on our page and view our previous videos. They're all online, all for free, and you can watch them at a later time or at your leisure. And but today is part two. So we are here to, of course, talk about anxiety. And last week we did talk a little bit about anxiety, which was last Friday. And one of the key learnings then was the fact that anxiety can be very useful as an emotion, especially if it is harnessed together with more positive things, such as compassion. So today, our topic is really all about the science and art of compassion. And our speakers are from the Bulataw Center for Psychological Services. Just a little bit of background about the Bulataw Center. It is actually the service and research arm of the Ateneo de Manila University. They provide counseling, therapy, assessment, training, and workshops, and of course, research services. So they are very committed to promoting psychological wellness across a variety of settings such as schools, government organizations, and non-government organizations and corporations. And here joining us for the second time around are our speakers. We have with us Miss Sophia Grace Lina, or Pia as we'd like to call her, and Miss Lori Mesa. They're back here to discuss again part of that anxiety that we had, the anxiety topic that we had, which is the science and art of compassion. And if you're all newcomers to this, for the newcomers, just a little bit of background about Pia and Lori. So Pia is the director for public workshops and practitioner development. She's a counseling psychologist who works with children and adolescents and young adults, while Lori is the director for research, who is a developmental psychologist and a staunch advocate of mental health. So welcome back, Pia and Lori. And without further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ravi. All right, so you said, last week we talked about anxiety, how it can be healthy or unhealthy. And one main point that we tried to focus on last week was how anxiety, when we feel it, it puts us in what we call threat mode, where we are just alert, and we want to do something, but whether that is healthy or unhealthy behavior, that's what we talked about last week. And our main suggestion was that we were inviting everyone to bring other attitudes into the picture, okay, so that the anxiety can become, well, to move a little step further than just saying, okay, this anxiety is okay, we can keep it healthy. And so what we wanted to talk about this week is a little more about that, the keeping it healthy. And so that's why today we wanted to talk more about compassion and why it's important. So the question maybe is, why is it good for us to learn to be compassionate, especially in these times? Right. So first, of course, we want to talk about what we mean when we say compassion. So, Lori?
Okay. All right. So I also just want to highlight the different experience of anxiety before I jump into talking about compassion. Na I think the experience of our anxiety, as we would talk about it and we hear with other people, the first week was more of a really heightened sense of emotion, right? But now that we are entering the third week and another extension of 2 weeks more of this quarantine period, while we know that it's for our best interest and it's for protecting ourselves and eventually flattening the curve, it brings about a myriad of other emotions, right? So, dati it was panic no first week. Now, medyo nagva-vary na. Merong loneliness tayong naririnig because of people isolated for extended periods of time. There's anger and frustration at how these things are handled. And it's still, as we talked about last week, it's still an expression of anxiety. And we talked about compassion. And the reason why we are advocating for you to strengthen the emotion of compassion nowadays is because research has shown that the emotion of compassion supports our physical health directly by strengthening our immune system. So, here I want to bring our discussion about how our emotions and how our thoughts directly impact our physical health, even directly affecting our immune system, which we so need right now because it's our defense system for all the viruses and all the infection out there. Okay, so thoughts and emotions affect our physical body. In fact, the emotions that we feel, be it anxiety, be it compassion, is something that is expressed in our body and it inhabits our body. And para sa atin mga Pilipino, madaling maintindihan to. Medyo sanay na tayo sa konsepto na to kasi may mga salita tayo na when we pertain to emotions, we actually describe our body. So what do I mean by that? Like for instance, when we say, mainit ang ulo ko, we describe our body, but we take it to mean that naiinis tayo or galit tayo, right? Sometimes when we say, tumatayo ang balahibo ko, naintindihan na natin yon na we mean to say, natatakot ako or something like that. So we describe our emotions by describing our body. So we have that understanding. So I'll just quickly describe how anxiety, the experience of anxiety is impacting our body. So the emotion anxiety, as we explained last week, triggers the threat response system, which is the fight, flight, and freeze responses. And so what does that look like in our body? So what usually happens is that our heart rate goes up, our blood pressure goes up, our breathing rate goes up, or sometimes we even hold our breath. Sometimes we don't notice it. Now we kind of stop breathing. And then inside our body, we release this hormone called cortisol to help us act fast immediately to save ourselves. Now, okay, in short bursts, this threat response system, this physical reaction, is okay. But if it's chronic, meaning paulit-ulit na na-activate yung threat system sa katawan mo, and it's also prolonged, our body's immune system will start to be weakened and affected by the release of constant cortisol. And so we say that, it's normal to experience anxiety during this time. That's why we stress during the first session that we have to modulate it a bit so that we don't experience this prolonged and chronic experience of our threat systems activating. So we say that anxiety is our survival mechanism, and it's primal. There are actually other emotions also that turns off that threat system and supports our immune system. And that emotion is compassion. It's also rooted in our primal systems that actually switch off this threat mode. So the act and feeling of compassion is part of what they call our ancient mammalian care system. So when we feel compassion, it makes us feel cared for, makes us feel safe. And what happens in our body is that our body releases this chemical called oxytocin that enables us to feel that sense of care, sense of love. And in turn, because it switches off that threat response, uh, it supports our immunity. It strengthens our defense system and our immune responses. So here we can say that emotions directly influence our physical health, whether it's for the good or whether it's for the bad. So that's why it's important for us to choose and shift to emotions that support our health. So, what we're going to talk about more is that we don't have to wait for somebody to give us that oxytocin shot. Wait for somebody to actually console us or comfort us. But there are actually ways by which we can elicit that and bring that about for ourselves. So, what is self compassion? So, to put simply, self-compassion is when we give ourselves the same care and kindness as we would give a good friend we care about. So the research for self-compassion is actually rich. So if you want to know more about it, you can actually Google this leading researcher. Her name is Christine Neff, and learn about the many ways that they studied this concept. So while the research supports that practicing self-compassion directly affects health, medyo tayong mga Pilipino, we have an issue about the concept of self-compassion. And I saw that personally in my research when we explored this concept of self-compassion in us Filipinos. Medyo nahirapan tayo to bring it up. Siguro kasi culture has taught us na nakaka-guilty kapag unahin mo munang alagaan yung sarili mo. Or maybe religion also tells us that it's important to think of others rather than think about caring for yourself. So Pia and I will clarify this concept of self-compassion so we can understand what it is and what it's not. So, Pia, can you clarify, is self-compassion about being self-indulgent? Is it about being um, self-important, self-absorbed?
Okay. So, sabi mo nga na parang hindi tayo sanay na ganito. Actually, hindi tayo sanay kasi na pinapansin natin yung sarili natin. Diba? Pagka pinapansin, parang, or pagkakailangan natin ng pansin, it's usually labeled as something bad. Diba? Ay, kasi kulang ka sa pansin. Yeah. But, in practice, okay, yung self-compassion, yung ganitong klaseng pagpansin, and hindi naman siya na kung ano lang pagpansin sa sarili. It's a particular way of noticing yourself and giving yourself something. Now, learning self-compassion actually allows us the ability to be helpful for longer. Okay? Like, kunyari, and actually, kung isipin natin, medyo madali naman siyang intindihin na kung hindi natin alam, kung hindi tayo marunong na i-refill yung sarili natin. Kung kotse tayo, kung hindi tayo nilalagyan ng gas, paano tayo aandar? Okay? So yung tendency natin or yung gusto natin na tumulong, na magbigay pansin sa ibang tao, to respond to other people's needs. There's nothing wrong with that. That's really good. But if we keep ignoring our own needs, if we never give anything to ourselves, if we never do anything that refills our needs, then anong mangyayari? Ang mangyayari, para lang tayong baso na nauubos na hindi napupuno. Hindi ulit napupuno. So aabot tayo sa point na ubos na tayo, wala na tayong mabigay. Ang ibig sabihin nun, hindi rin tayo makakatulong. So actually, self-compassion is about, it is giving help and love and care to yourself. But by doing that, that's how we can continue giving love and care and support also to other people. So giving yourself time to restore, to recharge, setting boundaries, yung kumbaga yung parang alam mo na parang wait lang, hanggang dito lang yung kaya ko today. Hindi ibig sabihin nun na selfish ka or parang kulang ka. Acknowledging lang talaga na okay, hanggang dito yung kaya ko today. Pwede naman ulit later. Ako muna, bibigyan ko muna yung sarili ko para makabigay pa ako. Para matuloy ko tong gusto kong gawin. So,
okay. So self-compassion apparently supports giving behavior.
Yeah. Okay. So, merong the other side of that question naman is yung the idea of parang is self-compassion para kang nagpapaawa, okay, parang kawawa naman ako, ganun. Is that self-compassion? Is it self-pity? Are you just focusing too much on the negative things about yourself? Is that what happens when you practice self-compassion? That's one question, maybe.
Okay, actually no, because when you practice self-compassion, the more that you are aware about your distress, the more that you are aware about your pain, you bring about this sense of self-responsibility that ako kaya kong tulungan yung sarili ko. That's what real self-compassion brings about. It brings about inner strength. It actually helps you to be courageous enough to act on your behalf and gives you this personal responsibility to care for yourselves. And you know what resources you have, you know when to ask for help. So it doesn't really make you feel like giving up and you're just drowning in your sorrow na kawawa naman ako. But it invites you to take action. And so actually the evidence for this, when researchers studied this, is self-compassionate people have better mental health because they can cope better in difficult situations, because they know what they need, they know their distress, and they can act to self-soothe and help themselves. So another question probably, when you say, I need to exercise self-compassion, wouldn't that be an excuse for bad behavior or for being angry at some people or for pushing people away? What about that?
Okay. So this is something that really comes up na parang, am I just giving myself an excuse? Okay. To do these, to feel bad and to do these things. But what I am able to observe, both in myself and in other people, is that when we do this, for example, when I tell myself, okay, nafe-feel ko nauubos na ako. Okay? Nafe-feel ko hindi na ako makapag, like I can't pay attention anymore. Okay? Pagod na ako. Hindi ibig sabihin nito na parang okay lang yan, parang sige, bitawan mo na yan. That's not really the practice of self-compassion. But ganun ba tayo, actually, pwede natin balikan. Kasi ganun ba tayo pagka nauubos tayo? Ganun ba tayo pagka napapagod tayo? Or mas usual ba na na we get critical of ourselves. Na parang, ano ba yan? You're so comfortable na nga, you're just at home. Tapos nun, hindi mo pa kaya. Ganun. So, so those are two possible things that can come up for us. But when we practice self-compassion, like for example, we are really truly honest and comfortable enough to say, hey, you're tired, okay? Or hey, you made a mistake, okay? You did something you were not supposed to do. Or you are feeling really, really bad right now. Okay? Pagka na-admit natin sa sarili natin yon, ang nangyayari actually is ina-admit natin yung bagay na kailangan natin aksyonan. Because at that moment, when we are able to hold these problems, our anger, our pain, our tiredness, ang nangyayari, imbes na parang maging pabigat lang siya na parang, ayan ka na naman kasi, pagod ka na naman, tamad ka na naman. Instead of us beating ourselves up for it, okay, what happens is when we admit it, then it just becomes, okay, I understand that this is what is happening to me. I don't have to beat myself up for it. So what's the best possible action right now? So instead of magdadagdag ka pa ng pabigat sa sarili by beating yourself up or saying, you're just making excuses, you actually clear up space so that you can just go straight to what is probably the best possible action. And sometimes the best possible action, like we've been talking about since last week, is to step away and recharge so that you can step in and give some more later. So we skip a lot of the baggage. Tinatanggal natin yung mga sobra na hindi naman kailangan, na nagiging pabigat lang sa atin.
Okay. And so we go on to understanding that what self-compassion is and what it's not. And another thing that I think it's important for us to understand is this is not a quality. This is not something na ito compassion ito masamang tao to, or hindi siya ganon. Self-compassion, or even the ability to extend compassion, is something that we can all learn. It's actually a skill, kind of like kung yung ibang tao magaling sa math, natutunan nila yon, pinag-aralan nila yon. Eliciting emotions of compassion for yourself and for other people is actually also a skill that we can train for. And true compassion actually for others comes from your capacity to give yourself compassion. So what are the ways by which we can actually learn this skill? So Pia and I will try one method later. We will take you into what we call a self-compassion meditation. And developing compassion needs 3 components. It's mindfulness and awareness of difficult emotions, self-kindness, and remembering the common humanity, that you are not alone when you are experiencing pain and distress. So Pia, what is that first component?
Okay. So when we say mindfulness of difficult emotions, ito actually yung step 1 na paulit-ulit namin mini-mention last week. Pero we'll be more specific now. Okay? When we say we notice our emotions, we acknowledge and notice our emotions, it's about finding and identifying what those are. Okay? Like, for example, for me, the difficult emotions that have been coming up lately are, one I've talked about before in part 1 was anger, okay, the emotion of anger. But lately, there have been more instances of the emotion of fear and the emotion of loneliness. Baka kasi nga, tumatagal na tayo dito. And so aside from just acknowledging and accepting it, diba? Parang pwede nating gawin na isa, yung tinatawag na yung naming it to tame it. Okay? Kasi pagka hindi kunyari, naramdaman lang natin, hindi porket naramdaman natin, alam na nahawakan na natin siya. Okay? And sometimes when it's just vague and unknown, it actually feels worse. It feels bigger. So mindfulness of difficult emotions allows us to name it. I feel fear. And that allows us to have a better hold of it. And then another step, kasi like Lori nga said na, these emotions, we can feel them in the body. It's connected. Our emotions and our body are connected. One next step we can do is to ask ourselves, saan ko ba nararamdaman to sa katawan? Paano ko ba nararamdaman to sa katawan? So, fear. Okay. Yung fear, nararamdaman ko siya sa lalamunan. Okay. Nararamdaman ko, parang naninikip yung lalamunan ko. Nararamdaman ko siya sa likod ng mata ko kasi nafe-feel ko, gusto ko nang umiyak. Okay. Nararamdaman ko siya in my chest kasi parang merong parang medyo sumisikip. Okay? That's fear. That's me finding my fear in my body. So I name it and then I find it in my body. And when I do that, it gives me a chance to hold the fear. So it's not just this big, vague feeling. Alam ko kung ano siya. Alam ko kung nasan siya. Alam ko kung paano ko siya nararamdaman. So yun yung mindfulness of difficult emotions.
So noticing your emotions actually means expressing it, saying and labeling the emotion. And if it's hard, finding it in your body and noticing it fully, not thinking about it, but actually sensing kung saan yung mga tight, kung saan yung very vivid and very distinct yung sensation.
Okay. Pero hindi yun lang yung self-compassion, okay? Which is what this whole session is about. We're trying to move a little bit, to do a little bit more than that today. So the next step, the next component is a component of self-kindness. Yung natututo tayong, pinapractice natin maging mabait sa sarili natin. Okay? And one way of doing that is to find sensations and feelings of stability. And okay, what does that mean? So imagine kung ang pinansin mo lang yung difficult feeling, ang pinansin mo lang yung fear, madaling malunod doon eh. Madaling malunod sa takot, madaling malunod sa galit, saka sa lungkot. Kaya kailangan natin gawin tong next step. And this next step is called grounding. And grounding is finding feelings of stability, feelings of how your body is being supported. Okay? And I'm focusing on these two, feelings of stability, support, and safety. Kasi this is what will help us feel like, okay, this is what, kasi pag sinabi mo lang sa sarili mo na I'm okay, minsan hindi natin yan nafe-feel eh, no matter what. So it's good to find sensations that say you're okay. And that's what grounding can help us with. So what I like to do is I like to feel the floor. Okay? Kung nakaupo ako sa chair, yung paa ko na nakapatong sa floor. And how the floor is stable and solid. So pinakikiramdaman ko yan. Hindi ko iniisip na stable and solid yung floor. Pinakikiramdaman ko habang yung paa ko nakapatong. Hindi lumulusot yung paa ko sa floor. It is stable, it is solid. Kung nakaupo ako sa upuan, pinakikiramdaman ko kung paano, how the chair holds my body up and how the chair is stable and solid and supports my body. Hindi ko iniisip lang yon. Pinakikiramdaman ko dun sa pagpansin kung saan sa nakapatong yung katawan ko, kung paano hindi ako umuuga-uga, stable ako. So yun yung pinapansin ko para mapanghawakan ko yung sarili ko. Okay? Kasi yun yung tinatry natin gawin dito. Natututo tayong mapanghawakan yung sarili ko natin. Tapos nun, okay, pagka na-feel mo na yun, na okay, ito yung stability, ito yung safety. Another step in self-kindness is imagining that you are a good friend to yourself. Ano ba tayo maging good friend? Diba? Na parang kung may friend ka na, na mamblema, what do you tell this person? Siyempre, gusto mo sabihin sa kanya na parang, I want you to be safe. Okay? I want you to be happy and to be healthy. I want you to be loved. Okay? So, practicing self-kindness once you find that stability and safety is one way to just do it, is to actually tell yourself this. Saying things like, may I be safe. Okay? May I be happy and healthy. Okay? Even with all this fear and loneliness that I feel in my body, may I still feel loved. May I still be at peace. So telling yourself this is one practice of self-kindness. And then we don't stay there. We also step a little bit further, and that's where Lori comes in.
Okay. So yung step pala na to na grounding, no? It's very important kasi sometimes ang daling matangay nga ng emotions and thoughts. So in a sense, it's like a reminder telling yourself that even if I am feeling scared, right here, right now, as I sit, the reality is I can feel the ground beneath me supporting me. And right here, right now, I am safe, I am well. Those are also realities that we are experiencing in the present, kahit takot tayo. Okay. And so, you say that once we have established this sense of care, this sense of security, and this sense of grounding and stability, then we will have the capacity to extend that same care to others. And knowing that we are not, kasi ang dali ngang to think na nag-iisa lang tayo dun sa mga emotions na nararanasan natin. But it's a good reminder for ourselves that we are not the only ones who feel these difficult emotions that we are experiencing. And a lot of people are also experiencing this. And if I can give care to myself and console myself, then I have that capacity to extend that care to others too.
Okay. So, tinry lang namin i-describe, pero alam namin na like in any practice, it's really better if we experience it ourselves. So right now, I would like to really call out to the people who are watching this right now, or the people who will watch it later, even as it's recorded, if you want to join us in this meditation. Okay? So wherever you are, I would like to invite you to take a comfortable position. So maghanap ng position na kung saan ka komportable, yung kung maaari, yung paa nakalapat sa sahig. Okay? And you finding a comfortable position for your back, okay, na hindi siya masyadong straight, okay, na tama lang. Okay. Tapos nun, kung komportable para sa inyo, maaaring ispikit ang mga mata o di kaya tumingin sa harapan nyo lang. Okay. Maghanap ng isang bagay na maaaring tignan at doon hinahayaan ng inyong pagtingin na manatili. And now, gathering your attention and bringing your attention to your breath. Pinapansin yung yung iyong paghinga nang para bang ito yung unang beses na pinapansin mo to. Noticing your breath in your body. Noticing the physical sensations of breath. And noticing how when you feel the physical sensation, kunyari, yung pasok ng hangin sa ilong. At yung paglabas. Pinapansin kung paano ito nararamdaman ng katawan. Maaring pansinin na iba yung temperatura ng inhale at ng exhale. Pinapansin rin na iba yung iniisip mo yung paghinga at iba yung pinakikiramdaman mo sa katawan mo ang iyong paghinga. Thinking about your breath and feeling the physical sensations of your breath are two different kinds of attention. And what we're trying to do is to give more attention and more focus to the physical sensations in the body, to the physical sensations right now of the breath. And just doing this for a few moments, maybe for 1 or 2 breaths. Just noticing movements, noticing how your muscles expand and contract. And now, allowing the emotions that might be present, particularly the difficult emotions that might be present, to surface, and allowing your body to feel them. Perhaps noticing what they are first and naming them. Pinapansin muna kung ano ang nandito at pinapangalanan sila. Siguro, baka nandito ang takot. Baka nandito ang galit. Maybe loneliness is here. And just allowing them to be here, to surface and be present. And maybe getting to know them just a little bit so that we can hold them by finding them in your body. Pinapansin kung saan nararamdaman ang takot. Saan nararamdaman? Paano nararamdaman sa katawan ang takot? At pagka napansin na yon, maaaring pansinin din yung iba. Saan nararamdaman sa katawan ang galit or loneliness? Ano ang nararamdaman doon? Paghihigpit, bigat, pinapansin lang at hindi hinuhusgahan ng sarili, not judging the self for having these feelings, just holding them. Maybe telling yourself, it's okay. It's okay that fear is here. It's okay that anger is here right now. It's okay. And now, after having noticed and acknowledged the presence of these difficult emotions, going to the next step and shifting your attention from wherever it is in your body and bringing your attention to your feet. Noticing physical sensations of your feet right now. Noticing how your feet are flat on the floor and how the floor is holding up solidly the weight of your feet. Pinapansin na yung paa mo nakalapat sa sahig. Pinapansin na yung katawan mo nakaupo dito. At sa ngayon, in this room where you are, as you sit here, that right now, you are safe. And your body is stable. Pinapansin itong mga pakiramdam na ito. My body is safe and my body is stable. And as you sit here, perhaps taking another step and imagining yourself as a good friend, understanding, feeling what you are feeling, but also managing to hold a stable and safe space for whatever emotions are here. Kahit na nandyan yung takot, galit, at lungkot, andyan din yung kakayahang maging stable at maging safe. Maaaring sinasabi mo sa sarili mo at iniengganyo ko kayong kahit na konti lang sabihin sa sarili. May I be safe and free from suffering. May I be happy and healthy. May I feel loved. May I be peaceful. And as you say these words to yourself, also allowing yourself to feel it. Noticing where you feel sensations of safety. Noticing what sensations of love might feel like. Noticing what sensations of peace might feel like in your body, if it is there. Allowing it to be there.
And so we are aware of our difficulties. We can be made aware of our pain, and we can hold it and we feel it in our bodies, and we can extend that compassion to ourselves. But often, when we notice sensations of anxiety, sometimes there is a tendency to be self-protective, to feel threatened. And it's so easy to be fearful of other people, probably because we think that they're different, they don't understand us. Minsan madaling balewalain ang nararamdaman ng ibang tao kasi iba siya sa nararamdaman natin. Siguro kasi they belong to a different class, iba yung estado natin sa ibang tao, or siguro mahirap intindihin ng ibang tao because they have different cultures, they live in a different country, we live in different places. And so here is reminding ourselves that yes, we may be different in all of our expressions of fear. We may be different in many ways, but we are also the same. And just like me, each person has a body and a mind. Just like me, each person has a physical body and a heart that beats fast in response to something scary. People have feelings, emotions, and thoughts just like me. And katulad ko, nakaramdam din ng takot, lungkot, galit. And people might probably be also yearning for the same human connection that we sometimes feel. And just like me, each of us have at some point wanted to be caring and be kind to others. Each person wants to be free from pain and suffering, just like I do. Each person wants to be safe and healthy, just like me. Each of us at some point wants to feel love, just like me. And so I'm inviting each and every one of you to bring your imagination and cast it wide, and to think about all the many types of people out there experiencing the same situation. Maybe you can imagine the elderly probably living alone somewhere, young families with young children, or maybe imagining a teenager right now who is grappling what this means for his or her future, or the leaders who are trying to figure this whole thing out, or a person scared waiting for medical results, or the doctors, the nurses, and health workers who are so busy and who are so overworked right now. I am imagining you as you are listening to this right now. Ikaw, ako, lahat tayo nakakaranas ng mga emosyon na ito. And I am inviting you to join me as we wish these for everyone. I wish that you be free from pain and suffering. I wish that you be happy and healthy. I wish that wherever you are, you feel loved. And I wish that you be peaceful. And so noticing the thoughts and the emotions that are arising right now as you this, wish these things for everyone, wherever they are. And allowing these thoughts and emotions to be as they are for now. And now shifting your attention back to your breath. Drawing a deep breath in and drawing it out. And perhaps noticing the simple fact that your breath breathes for you without your conscious command, kahit hindi mo utusan ng katawan mo, usa siyang hihinga papaloob, papalabas, and your breath is nourishing you, strengthening you, and taking care of you naturally without you having to make an effort. And now taking a few breaths to settle you, ground you, and getting ready to open your eyes at the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You may open your eyes.
Okay. So for those who are out there who tried that, give yourself a hand for trying a meditation with us. But before we end, actually, we just want to really go back and say that this compassion, giving of it, and giving of it to yourself is a skill. Hindi to ganun ka natural. So hindi natin feel immediately na kaya natin siya. Baka sa una feeling natin na parang fake naman ito. Yeah. So to answer, and that actually answers one of the questions that's been brought up. Na parang, do I need to feel compassion before I can be compassionate? Okay, maybe at first, okay, you will feel like it's forced. Kasi parang minsan, like we've been saying, we need to train ourselves to do this. So maybe at first it won't feel like it in terms of feeling, but the more you practice it, then the easier it will be to access that well of compassion that might be there with you anyway. But what we are saying actually is that, so I hope that answers the question of Alexis. And then to answer the question of Papus, right? Francisco, who is asking, so should I put myself first? Okay. When we talk about compassion, okay, like I'll go back to the metaphor of the cup earlier. When we say put ourselves first, it's not putting ourselves first in any particular selfish way, but we are acknowledging that to be able to give compassion to others, we have to be able to give compassion to ourselves. If we don't know how to do this thing, then we would never be able to do it at all. So we learn how to give compassion to ourselves because we are the nearest thing we can practice on, so that we can learn to give compassion to others. We refill our cup so that we can give more to others. So it's actually quite, it's circular, it's cyclical.
I'd like to bring this, parang, for people who have been on planes, there's this, para before the plane takes off, there's this instruction about the oxygen mask, right? That before you put on the oxygen mask on another person, you have to put it on for yourself. That way, hihimatayin ka, so wala ka ring silbi na makakatulong, right?
Yeah.
So, take care of yourself first so you can effectively take care of others. So, pwede mong mailagay sa ibang tao ng maayos yung mask nila.
Okay. And then, Jomai is asking is there a way that we can assuage our fears, okay, on the uncertainties that are happening. This is actually a way to do that, because truth is, it is uncertain, and there's the uncertainties regarding, the economic state, our financial state, the state of our businesses, what's next. To be truthful, we cannot be sure about any of this. So this is one practical step that we can tell ourselves, okay, you are not sure, but you can still practice self-compassion. Even in the uncertainty, even with the mounting fear and anxiety and worry, you can still stop, hold, and then give yourself kindness. And I know it doesn't really solve anything, but what you are doing is you're strengthening your ability to carry it for yourself. And maybe right now, that's the best thing that we can do, to learn how to best carry this thing in the face of all the uncertainties that we're facing. So maybe that this practice would be helpful in that way.
So realistically, I think anxiety is going to be something that we will experience repeatedly. Um, and self-compassion is one of the many ways by which we can, if this is a volume control, tone it down and dial it down so that we can also, as I said, protect our physical bodies. So nasusobrahan na tayo ng cortisol, siguro nalulunod na yung katawan natin, bigyan naman natin sarili natin ng oxytocin to help support our immune system also.
Okay. And finally, maybe this is the last question. Brian is asking kung meron raw bang informal compassion practices. Actually, what we did today, these are 3 compassion practices. So you can practice any of these. You don't have to do all of them all at once, although it's nice to go through all of it. But you can practice each component separately if you want, and that can be shorter, more informal practices. Sometimes you just need to notice your emotions. Okay. Sometimes you just need to give yourself kindness and grounding. And then sometimes you just need to remember that, okay, I'm not alone in this. We are all in this. We're all going through this together.
Yes, actually, there are many creative ways by which you could elicit this emotion of compassion and self-compassion. What we just walked you through and talked about is just one exercise of meditation. Other ways are through writing yourself, you're writing to a friend, like really compose a letter consoling yourself and giving advice, etc. Another way is imagining your capacity for care, imagining how you have this innate ability to care for your pets, to care for your children, for the people that you love. And if you can extend it to others, you imagine that you bring it to yourself this time. So there are many ways to creatively elicit self-compassion.
Okay. So, any last words, Lori? Just to wrap up
Maybe just
today's episode.
Okay. I'm not sure if they flashed already the components. Okay.
They did.
So, okay, all right. So, just to tie this up, anxiety, prolonged and chronic, impacts our physical health. And so, one of the ways by which we can support our physical health is to elicit self-compassion. And self-compassion is a skill we can learn, and it's inherent in each and every one of us. And I guess I would like to end by acknowledging that inherent capacity in us. I'd like to end with a greeting, acknowledging that. So the kind and compassionate in me honors the kind and compassionate in you. Thank you.
So So thank you so much again, Pia and Lori from the Ateneo Bulataw Center for Psychological Services. Wow. Um, I hope you guys got a lot from that. I tried the meditation myself, and I feel so light. Okay, I feel a lot better today. This being our third week of the ECQ. So please stay tuned for more. Next week, we will have another live session here in Pocket Mentor. Just stay tuned. So if you're all excited about next week, well, we've got another lineup for you this coming Wednesday. So stay tuned. We will post details on our Facebook page. Again, thank you so much to Pia and Lori who shared their expertise and their experience with us. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We will see you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a blessed Holy Week ahead. Until our next session, just watch out for the details for that. Thank you and see you soon.